Mourinho wants Bale homecoming. Bayern one step closer to the treble. The Premier League fixtures have been announced, the transfer roundup, and today's Thursday favourites all coming up in the next few minutes. As I am your host, Matt Froelich, you are the Onefootballers, and this is the Daily News. So first up, in the big transfer news of the day and pretty much of every single transfer window for the last 3 years, is that Gareth Bale may be leaving Real Madrid and could be returning to Tottenham. Now, it's been 7 years since the Welshman left North London, and since he left, he's won a whole load of trophies, because that's generally what happens when you leave Tottenham. Anyway, Jose Mourinho is still hell-bent on bringing him back to the Premier League, just like he was when he was in charge at Manchester United. This brings up a little bit of a red flag for me. I mean, Mourinho seems to be so determined to sign Gareth Bale, regardless of the club as which he's at. Is he actually going to fit in? I mean, obviously at Tottenham he's going to do a better job on that right-hand side of an attacking three, but did they exactly have the same problems at Manchester United? Would he have been a good fit if United didn't sign him then because he wasn't worth it, or injuries, or wage, or whatever? Why should Tottenham go and sign him now? I mean, I'm not comparing the two because, Spurs historically are far behind Manchester United, but I actually do trust what Jose Mourinho is doing, but only just. Let's not get that twisted. Anyway, obviously, as I mentioned, one of the huge stumbling blocks would be Gareth Bale's wage. Apparently, 350 grand a week after tax is what he's earning, and obviously, that's a ridiculous amount of money. So obviously, despite the fact he's had arguments with Zidane, with the fans, with the club, and it looks like he's happy to sit on the bench, sit out the squad and play golf for the last 2 years of his Real Madrid contract, well, Tottenham aren't exactly going to be willing to pay that. The highest they're paying is $200,000 a week, and that's to Harry Kane and record signing Tanguy Ndombele, who's definitely not worth it. So, are we really going to see Spurs absolutely break the bank, break their wage budget, and bring Gareth Bale in? Spurs fans can only dream, but I highly doubt it's going to be happening anytime soon. But next up, and to Bayern Munich, who have taken one step closer to another treble, just like they did in 2013. With the Bundesliga title and the DFB Pokal wrapped up, they now just have PSG standing in their way on Sunday. That is because they swept aside Lyon 3-0 last night, and in all honesty, I'm sure everyone was crying, shouting at the TV for Lyon to put the ball in the back of the goddamn net. I mean, so many breakaways and chances against Bayern Munich just do not happen all the time. People were saying after the Barcelona game that, yeah, Bayern looked a bit dodgy at the back, and I think Lyon exposed that in the first 15 to 20 minutes. They had their chances, Memphis Depay especially, and then when you don't take them, and then Bayern, especially Gnabry, goes and does what he does best, you really haven't got anyone to blame but yourselves. After that, it was cruise control for Bayern Munich, and yeah, they step into the final on Sunday as favourites. They absolutely have to be. Effectively, it's the world's greatest team against the best attacking lineup, because the rest of PSG's side isn't exactly as strong as Bayern Munich's, but anything can happen. If there's anything that this year's Champions League taught us, is that anything can happen. I, for one, am extraordinarily excited to watch Sunday's game, and I think Bayern Munich are just gonna do it, but do not rule out PSG at all. Next up though, and Premier League action. It's almost returning, and get excited because the fixtures have been released, and there's not really a cracking opening day. I'm sorry fans to all of these clubs, but it's just not so exciting. There's not really too many huge games to look forward to. There's a London derby between Arsenal and Fulham. Leeds mark their return to the Premier League with a trip to Anfield, the home of the current champions. Manchester City start off at home against Aston Villa. Spurs start against Everton. There's a few other half-decent games in there. Things don't really kick off on the opening day though. A few weeks into the season, that's where they get a little bit more tasty. Matchday 4 sees Mourinho return to Manchester United. On Matchday 7, Liverpool play Manchester City. The first North London derby and Manchester derby are at the beginning of December, and on Boxing Day, Arsenal host Chelsea in what will surely be a Christmas classic. Aside from that, get very excited because the Premier League is almost returning, and I don't want to make too many predictions just yet, but I'm gonna anyway. The top 4 is going to be exactly the same as it was this year. Sorry to ruin it for you folks. I think United and Chelsea have strengthened, or will strengthen, pretty well. They've got good squads. They're not as good as Manchester City and Liverpool, who are both going to be pretty far ahead. I think those two are going to be fighting for the top 2, maybe with Chelsea in there, and then United are good enough to finish 4th. Sorry if that's ruined everyone's day, but that's what I think is going to happen. Of course, there are still plenty of weeks left in the transfer window. There may also be plenty of windows left too. That runs until the beginning of October, so between now and then, clubs could strengthen, could really bring up the quality of their squads. but to bring up the quality of a squad and close the gap to Liverpool is insane, especially from pretty much anyone from third downwards. They were so far behind Liverpool, you could throw City in that mix as well. They're going to have one hell of a summer transfer window if they're to catch out the Anfield club. Next up, and a quick roundup of the rest of the day's transfer news that you might have missed. Zlatan Ibrahimovic is close to signing yet another extension to his contract and will play at AC Milan for one more season. Serie A is not done with him yet. Rather, I should say, Zlatan is not done with Serie A just yet. Arsenal are close to signing Gabriel, the central defender from Lille, for around £27 million, beating out the likes of Everton and Napoli to his signature. Manchester United may offer Sergio Romero in return for Jack Grealish to Aston Villa, but obviously they want a lot of money alongside it as well for their club captain. And lastly but not least, Atletico Madrid are interested in Juventus winger Federico Bernardeschi. Finally, we come to this week's Thursday favourites. This is where you guys ask me about 5 of my favourite things in football, and you let me know yours in the comments section down below. So NBA 2006 has asked ahead of this week's Champions League final, Matt, what are your 5 favourite Champions League finals of all time? So let's get straight into it. First off, Manchester United losing 2-0 to Barcelona in 2009. Nothing to do with Manchester United at all. It's just that Barcelona were brilliant. Like, that was the best club team of all time. Pep Guardiola and Barcelona won every single title available to them in that year. And yeah, they were just sensational to watch. The final itself was good. It wasn't like an absolute classic, but I just think Barca was so attractive at that time. Eto'o scored the goal. Messi even scored a header, which is ridiculous. And yeah, it was a pretty good final. Next up, and probably the first final I definitely remember watching from start to finish, and it is Real Madrid beating Bayer Leverkusen 2-1 all the way back in 2002. If anything, it's for that Zinedine Zidane volley. You all know it. You've all seen it. The ball's lofted high. Zidane takes one brilliant swing at it with his left foot. The ball flies into the back of the net. Hamden goes absolutely wild. Well, certainly the Real Madrid section of Hamden does in Scotland. And yeah, Real Madrid had their 9th European title. Third on the list, and just hold your horses because I know you're all going to be like, Matt, are you absolutely insane? But it's last year's Champions League final, 2019. Yes, it was a terrible game. As a Spurs fan, it was even worse. Not only was it a terrible match to watch, but they ended up losing, giving a penalty away after 24 seconds. It was ridiculous, but, here's why I enjoyed it so much. Because Tottenham got to a Champions League final. As a football fan, how many of you can say that you've been to watch your team at a Champions League final? I watched it with my family. I've watched Tottenham go all the way from fighting relegation back in the late 90s to mid-table mediocrity under the likes of Martin Jol and Christian Gross and absolutely everyone else who's been a terrible manager at Tottenham, to getting into the Champions League, to Mauricio Pochettino, to making it all the way to the final. That is a pretty amazing journey in itself, and that's why it was such a good memory for me. Obviously, that was until, as we say, the first whistle of the game went, and the 90 minutes after that were just terrible, but it will still be a good memory for me otherwise. Next up, in 2014, another Real Madrid victory, and this one because it was so tantalizingly close to an absolutely incredible story. I'm sorry, Atletico Madrid fans. They were so close to winning the double that year as well. They won La Liga by a few points, I think, after drawing on the final day against Barcelona back in 2014. Then they went into the Champions League final as underdogs, scored the goal, and they would have had it if it weren't for a Sergio Ramos header in the last minute, the ultimate supervillain. Into extra time, and Real Madrid just completely took Atleti by storm. It must have been crushing to think they were like 30 seconds away from winning it, and then to have to play another half an hour during which Cristiano Ronaldo did what Cristiano Ronaldo does. Scored a goal that whipped his top off and tense for the whole world to see. It's just an image that's burned into everyone's memory since then, and Real Madrid won yet another Champions League title. Lastly but not least, the best Champions League final of all time, in my opinion, because this is my 5 favourites. You guys can let me know yours in the comment section down below, is of course 2005. Liverpool, AC Milan in Istanbul, from 3-0 down at half-time, drawing it back to 3-0 and then winning in the penalty shootout. That is insane for any team. Any team, and Liverpool fans must have been absolutely delirious. Steven Gerrard, probably the highlight of his career. In fact, definitely the highlight of his career. And yeah, it's just an unforgettable night that will definitely go down in the annals of Champions League history. It's the greatest final ever. So there you have it, my top 5 favourites Champions League finals of all time. But you guys let me know yours in the comment section down below. Whilst you're at it, you can let me know your thoughts on the rest of today's daily news and the release of the Premier League fixtures. Whilst you're at it, you can smash the like button and click here or here to check out all of the other videos we've got going on Onefootball. But until next time, I'll see you guys later.